Time is X minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
It's the Rocket Hour. Y'all are now tuned in. Time to hit the pick four that you'd love to win. If your money's coming slow, step on the faster track with your host, Ricky Pasternak. Let's go.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Rocket Hour. I'm your host, Ricky Pasternak, and he's Gulfstream Park. No, he's Aaron Halterman. Aaron, big day of scratches. You want to just touch on that real quick? We'll obviously get into the card, but kind of walk us through your name and kind of what's been going on in the horse racing world early at 10:30 in the morning.
Yeah, I'm a little confused, to be honest, about what is exactly going on. Basically, two barns are under quarantine at Gulfstream Park right now. Reason being is a horse passed away last night, and for precautionary measures, they've quarantined that barn and another barn. I don't really know exactly what the details of why the quarantine has happened, but anyway, it caused a lot of scratches because obviously two barns, the horses can't leave, and they are entered in these races. So we've had a fun little morning trying to scramble to update the picks and everything. We got not a ton to talk about in one of the races with just three horses. So I don't know, maybe we go long on the recap and short on the actual card today. But yeah, a little bit of a scramble, but we'll find out more details as they come into us.
Yeah, exactly. So that's a Gulfstream Park. Yeah, it's been kind of a mess. I'm trying to find out, what barns it was based on the scratches and things like that. I haven't come up with any guesses, and I'm not going to share my thoughts because I don't want to, say anything that I'm not fully 100% sure on. In other news, Dak Prescott gets his contract, 4-year, $160 million, and that led me to wear my Raven jersey. Sounds like Lamar Jackson is next to get in line. So Ravens fans, let's hope we can get that together. We started a little early, and I didn't tell Aaron why, but I have to be honest, Syracuse is playing at noon today, and I was not willing to miss a minute of it. We are on the bubble. My uncle's coming over to watch the game with my dad and I. So I'm telling everyone now, this is why we're starting at 10:30. It's not a health thing. It's not anything crazy. Just not willing to miss a minute. And I know sometimes the Rocket Hour is more than an hour. So I just wanted to be sure. Didn't want to miss a minute of that game. Let's get into it. We have the Close Shave Rocket Launch brought to you by Manscaped. Support for the Rocket Hour is brought to you by Manscaped, who is the best in men's below-the-waist grooming. Manscaped offers precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. They obsess over their technology developments to provide you the best tools for your grooming experience. Manscaped is trusted by over 2 million men worldwide. We have an exclusive offer for everyone listening today, 20% off plus free shipping with the code ROCKET20 at manscaped.com. All right, Aaron, let's get into it. There were tons of races going on this weekend, whether it was Triple Crown, the Big Cap, Santa Anita Handicap, if you're not familiar with the nickname. So, Aaron, we did the live stream together. It was, not just us. A lot of people were on it. It was great. Papa Doo popped in for a little bit. I think the biggest surprise of the day, let's get started. It was at Aqueduct with Weyburn. Trevor McCarthy really guts one out, almost 47-1. Real quick, we're going to go through the Triple Crown preps and then a little bit at Santa Anita. Real quick, can you take anything away from this race? And if you can, what can we maybe look for with Weyburn moving forward?
It is very hard to kind of make sense of Weyburn. I kind of look back at it, the day after, and I couldn't have got to this horse. He made such a huge jump from a speed figure standpoint here. It was just really hard to get. Now, I would have been mad if Crowded Trade would have won because that's one that was logical to kind of make that progression. But, yeah, I never could have got to Weyburn, but a hell of a win. And really, Ricky, this is a horse that should run better as the distances get longer. This is not, out of all the horses in the race, I would say, this was the one that you would think longer would be better, not this 1 mile distance. So good job by Wayburn. We'll see. I've got him ranked low right now in the Derby ranks. I want to see if he can reproduce that effort, but he's got a shot now. Highly Motivated is one I've ranked very low, but still kept him in the top 20. First off a layoff, had a little bit of trouble. He might progress next out. But overall, I thought this race was a little better than I originally thought it was.
Yeah, real quick, Aaron kind of alluded to it. Go to racingdudes.com and he has his top 20 horses that he likes. I have no say in the matter because I would have made a few changes. No, I'm just kidding. He did a great job. Again, he's the one who's much more caught up on the Triple Crown Trail than I am. I kind of go week to week. He knows what's going on. Real quick, Wayburn, he ranks at 16 and Highly Motivated at 17. And I think that's fair, right? Any horse in this race has to be behind Wayburn. It wouldn't make any sense to have a horse move ahead of Wayburn. But you're right. Real quick, Crowded Trade was one that made sense. Almost got there, but Wayburn really dug in. The biggest takeaway for me, and I've talked about this before, runners that go from like Aqueduct or New York to Florida, it's almost like sports. Let's think of it this way. Like horses that are come from Oaklawn in New York, when it's cold, it's muddy, the weather's gross, they're tough horses. I truly believe that. Horses from Santa Anita or California and Gulfstream or Tampa may be a little softer. I truly believe that. A lot of people don't. When you go from a warm weather place to a freezing place, it could really affect these horses. And a lot of people have said, you're nuts. I don't think I am, because not one of these runners that shipped in ran well, and Wayburn runs at Aqueduct. And that goes to show you, granted, Bob Baffert didn't bring like a Life is Good over. Like, we're not talking now. We'll get into that race, but it's just a theme. When a runner goes from cold to south, cold to warm weather, it's a massive upgrade. Warm weather to cold weather, you might want to think about things, unless the horse is a freak, like a Justified, maybe a Life is Good, Essential Quality, something like that. And that was my biggest takeaway, because we look at Freedom Fighter and Wipe the Slate, and I'm not sure they finished the race. They might still be out there trying to get the job done, crossing the wire. So that was my takeaway. It's just one of those situations that there, to Aaron's point, to sum it up, I'm not really sure. There's a lot we could take away from this race. Let's go to Tampa Bay Downs. They had a race that we can get into as well. And this was my, we'll introduce it, the Lamb Home South Tampa Bay Derby, Grade 2. Can't we just call it the Tampa Bay Derby? Grade 2. What'd you say?
I said that's what I do. I just call it the Tampa Bay Derby.
Yeah, I'm trying to be right here. I know people pay a lot of money to have the sponsor. This was, real quick. This was my horse. I came, not my horse. I don't own the horse, but I came on Friday, and then we talked about some stakes horses, and I said, this is, stakes races. This is the one to keep an eye on, because we saw with King Guillermo the year before a much bigger price here. But I said, what? We don't really know what Helium is. Right, we kind of know what Candyman Rocket is, and we weren't all that impressed. This was a weaker field, I think, in this race than probably last year's Tampa Bay Derby. It was very, very weak. So I'm gonna give a little pat on the back for taking Helium. I should have maybe made a win bet, because I really did like this horse a little bit. Aaron, for you, what did you think of Helium? What could we take moving forward? I believe you have Helium like 15 on the Kentucky Derby ranking. So it's like 15, 16, 17 with the trio. And more so, can you just talk about Candyman Rock and maybe where they should go from here?
Well, there's a lot to unpack here, and it's kind of a mixed bag. Let me first defend the reason why I have this horse at 15 on the rankings. They said right after the race, this horse is going straight to the Kentucky Derby. I don't like that. One race as a 3-year-old, and it came at Tampa, and now you're going to the Derby. I would have liked to seen him go somewhere else first, so that's why I kept him pretty low. Okay, this was not an impressive race as far as time. This was not an impressive race as far as the speed figure, but you also have to look at it, and you look at just this race and just Helium. First start on the dirt. First start since October. First start as a 3-year-old, obviously. This was pretty damn good to win this race for this horse. It's definitely one you go, okay, next time out, I think the horse can take a step forward. The big problem is it's hard to take a step forward in the Kentucky Derby off one race. If he was going to the Wood, if he was going, even a race like the Bluegrass, where I know Essential Quality's there, but maybe Helium could get second there. Maybe he could take that step forward and maybe be somewhat competitive. I just hate that they're going straight to the Derby now. But this horse, I definitely think it's one you kind of put in the back of your mind because, well, yes, you could say this was not an impressive race. And, as far as the time and the speed figures, it was pretty damn impressive for this horse to win this race here. And he had to fend off Hidden Stash, who I wouldn't bet in any race going forward. If he couldn't win there, I don't really know where he's going to. But he did have to fend him off. He was on the inside of him, and he did it. And so it's a mixed bag. Do I want him for the Derby? No. But do I maybe want him down the road somewhere? Yeah. I think Helium's got some potential.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. I mean, I have 2 points. For the first one, Dennis talks about I loaded up on Helium Woodbine horse. That's probably been my best angle, fading the Woodbine horses when they need to be faded and attacking them when they should be. So thank you, Dennis, for giving me credit there because I don't always hate Woodbine horses. I just tend to not like them usually, but in this case I did. I don't mind them skipping everything to the Kentucky Derby for this reason.
Okay.
First of all, if I was an owner or a trainer, I wouldn't go this route. So let me preface what I'm about to say. One, Mark Casse knows what he's doing. He's had horses at this level. One of those things, obviously we can go through it. He's had Tepin, probably his best horse, but then he's had War of Will, and he's had some decent runners of Sir Winston. So if you guys want to kind of go back and see, he's not I forgot who King Guillermo was. Was it Avila last year, right, with King Guillermo? Mm-hmm. He didn't. Mark Casse definitely has a lot more experience at this type of thing. So that's one. The other thing is if I'm an owner, I want to be riding this wave. And what I mean by that is if he goes to the Wood, let's just say, which, again, Florida to New York is a scary angle for me. But let's just say he did. I don't want that luster, that shine away. Now, it could solidify what we're thinking. Now, if he goes to the Wood and say he wins by a couple lengths, now we're talking about a horse that might be 40-1. In the Kentucky Derby to Aaron, to potentially like a 12-1, 15-1,
yep,
which is fair. And you obviously get a lot of purse money. The other thing is by them kind of just giving him a workout every week, you kind of know he's probably going to stay healthy. That's the only thing. Now, it's not the aggressive move. You're not going to rack up a lot of purse money, and he will fade in terms of out of sight, out of mind for us. But I kind of get it. If you want him that healthy and at his best into the Kentucky Derby, I get it. Not that I would do it, but I guess I get where they're coming from. How would you respond to that point?
Yeah, another thing that I've thought about is maybe they're taking a realistic approach and saying, okay, we've got him good here. We'll get him to the Derby. We know we can't probably win the Derby no matter what. I don't think he's quite good enough to win it. So we'll get that race, we'll get it out of the way, and then we've got a fresh horse for quote unquote second half of the season where there's races we can win. And that could be what they're thinking as well. So, yeah, I mean, the Derby's not the end-all, be-all, and maybe that's part of it.
Yeah, exactly. Aaron, real quick, do you know when Churchill Downs opens?
The backside opens next week.
Yeah, so do you know when the track opens, though? Because
I think you'll be able to train next week.
No, I meant race-wise, like races. Do you know when their meet opens up?
The meet is the Tuesday before the Derby.
In my book, maybe not bringing him to the Wood, but maybe have him like we're going to talk about prevalence a little bit later on in the week. I think tomorrow, maybe just get like an allowance optional claiming in him. That would have been nice too. Not for the purse money, just to keep him going. It doesn't sound like they're going to do that. And again, for the record, I'm not saying that I would do the same thing. I just kind of see, to Aaron's point, like you do want to keep him healthy. Let's shift to the West Coast. I wish Magic was on to kind of hop on with us. I know he is the West Coast guy. We're going to hop right into it. There was one stakes race, the China Doll, that we're not going to touch on. Didn't have too many implications, but this is a race that had a lot of people talking. Race 6 at Santa Anita. It was a San Felipe grade 2. See, they very nice and easy. San Felipe, nothing crazy, no names before it. Life is Good certainly was good on Saturday, kind of drifting away. If you guys got a chance to listen to the live stream, Aaron was very high on this horse coming into it, very high on this horse leaving the race. It drifted into the stretch is an accurate comment. I don't think that's not accurate. What do you make of him drifting in the stretch? I kind of already know what you've said before, and if you've listened, sorry, you have to listen again. But for people that haven't heard it, are you concerned about him drifting into the stretch, or do you just think this horse is, at this point, much better than what the other 3-year-olds have to offer at this point?
I do have one concern, and I'll get to it in a second. The drifting in the stretch, not at all. Not at all concerned about that. Here's the deal. Bob Baffert is a good trainer, right? Like, no matter if you think he's cheating or not, he's a good trainer. Like, he does things that gets horses to correct problems like this. I view Bob Baffert kind of like I view like Barry Bonds. Barry Bonds was a great baseball player before he was on steroids. It just put him to another level, and that could be the case with Baffert. Who knows? But anyway, I think he can get the drifting part of it corrected. Is the best way. I should have said that. So I'm not worried about that. I'm also not worried about the distance for this horse. This horse is not slowing down. We also have another prep going a mile and an eighth where we can analyze that again. So we'll worry about that after the San Antonio Derby. I think the only question mark for Life is Good right now is what will he do when another speed horse is in the race that is able to press him? Can he take pace pressure? When you look at the other really, really, really good horses that we've seen on this trail, like American Pharoah and like Justify, American Pharoah proved that he could sit off the pace, right? If the pace was too hot. Justify proved that he could sit off the pace and he could also be right there and fend them off. We don't know Life is Good yet because Medina Spirit blocked out the Great One from putting pressure on Life is Good. So we don't know. One of these races he will be tested, and that will be his last kind of hurdle to overcome. Can he, face pace pressure and keep going? That's the only question mark left. He's the most talented horse in the crop. It's really not close. That last question will determine his success.
Yeah, no, again, please go to racingdudes.com, and everything that Aaron kind of just laid out for you guys is exactly what he said, but he didn't do it in a quite as eloquent way online because he can't go forever. But that's kind of what he said, right? It's a pace pressure thing, and he said, pro, tough luck, Bob. I guess it is a pro. We don't really know what type of pro, but it was a great analogy, right? Like Barry Bonds was a fantastic baseball player if he never took any sort of performance-enhancing drugs. Like, he would have been a Hall of Famer. Yep. He wouldn't have broke the home run record, which has an asterisk. But he would have been a Hall of Fame baseball player. Like, same thing with Alex Rodriguez. And like that wouldn't have been the case. So I guess there are two analogies there. I don't mind the drifting, but to Aaron's point, like he hasn't been tested. Now, that's not Life is Good's fault. Like, he hasn't just been in a race like that. Like, all the questions that have been posed to him at this point, he's answered. So I do think this is the toughest horse to catch at this point because he can get away from the field quickly, like very quickly, if no one really gives him any pressure. Let's move on to the next stakes race. There was a ton of them on Saturday. We were on for a long time Saturday afternoon. I think we were like over 3 hours. It was like 3 hours and 18 minutes. I was exhausted. Let's get to the San Carlos. If you weren't on the live, stream, if you weren't watching the live stream, I should say, we took a few different horses. I believe we started here. It was race 8, I believe, Aaron, right? We did like a draft pick 4. And it was, we split up the teams. I was like with Vinny and Jared, and Aaron was with Dr. Miranda and Papa Dude, I believe. Aaron wasn't thrilled with his team, so I'll keep that in mind next time. I was really upset we couldn't use this horse, Brickyard Ride, because that was the horse I put on top. If you've watched this Rocket Hour in 15 minutes, it's like 75 minutes usually. I said that these sprint, these 7 furlong races, these are the toughest ones in my book. Are they a sprint or are they more 8 furlongs or a mile and a 16th? This one was really a sprint. And Brickyard Ride treated it like a sprint, and Alexis Centeno fired out of the gate, and it went gate to wire. This, I have to say, this is a term that I've used. It was almost a 30. It was almost a 30, which, if you don't know what 30 means, it's like, all right, gets the lead, gone, never a race, and you can go to the bathroom, get your food if you're at the track. One day we'll be at the track. But yeah, Brickyard Ride just was gone, and by the half-mile pole, no one was catching him. Aaron, what did you think of this race? There were a lot of horses that took money, and a 5-1 Brickyard Ride seemed like a 1-5 winner on the day.
Yeah, this was awesome. Pace makes the race, right? And they just said, the hell with it. We're going to get out ahead as far as we can, and nobody closed. That horse just kept going. So Brickyard Ride, certainly really, really impressive performance. I guess you could say the same thing about him as I just said about Life is Good. What happens when another one goes out there with him? That'll kind of determine how good this horse can be, how high he can climb up the ladder in the sprint division, right? But right now, he obviously is, has taken his spot as one of those, maybe not the top 1 or 2, but he's right there. He's got to be in the top 5 after this. I mean, this was just a runaway victory. So yeah, very impressive. A lot of other horses took money, and really, did anybody really run much behind him? Not really. I don't know if I want any of those horses back.
Yeah, for the record, I'll speak for Aaron here. I hope I'm saying this accurately. No longer using Storm the Court. I don't care if that horse is running against me. No one can figure Storm the Court out. He hasn't been good since he was 2. He took a lot of money. On that day, you could see like 5-2, almost getting to 3-1. Like, enough with Storm the Court. Please save your money. Bet someone else. Do not use Storm the Court. He's taken a lot of people's money, and he's just, in my book, not going to replicate his 2-year-old form. I don't want to offend anyone, but I mean, this horse has not been good since 2019.
Yeah.
I'm being legitimate. He hasn't been close really in anything since that time. So please save your money. Just go get yourself some food or a drink. Don't spend your money on him. Let's, no matter what the situation is, let's move on to race 9, the Frank Kilroe Mile. Aaron, we talked about every horse on the live stream except for this one. Literally, I'm going to go through it real quick, and then I'm going to throw it to you. We talked about Smooth Like Straight. We didn't talk about Count Again. We talked about Flavius. We talked about Casa Creed. We talked about Ride a Comet, who you and I both didn't like. Mm-hmm. And we talked about Social Paranoia. So we talked about, I'm counting, I have 5. We talked about half the field. We didn't talk about Florent Giroux shipping west. I have my opinion, but I'm going to save it. I'm going to let you go. What did we think of the Frank Kilroe Mile?
This was, I got so mad at this race because we hit the pick 6 if Hit the Road doesn't win here and Smooth Like Straight does. So just this was a heartbreaker because I played it. I feel like in my mind, at least, I played it right because the pick 6, the big carryover, I went single to start it. So singled Life is Good, singled the 2 horse in the allowance race whose name escapes me, and then played it like a pick 4 and thought, okay, I'm going to play against Maxfield. So anyway, I did not use the freaking Florent Giroux horse here. Whisper Not, yeah. I did not use the freaking Florent Giroux horse here. And the reason being, I thought Smooth Like Straight was the best horse, of the California circuit. And then I played three East Coast horses with them. And I just thought, well, if a California horse is going to win, it's Smooth Like Straight. Here comes Hit the Road. And listen, an incredible ride by Florent Giroux. I said it on the live stream, the horse has to run. That is number one all the time, no matter what. A jockey cannot win the race on his own. The horse has to run. And the horse ran extremely well and was extremely well meant for the race. But Florent Giroux with an incredible ride, to pull the mild upset here. So one of those races, man, I am kicking myself.
Yeah, it's one of those situations, the biggest takeaway for me, yes, Florent Giroux did a fantastic job, but good horses can anticipate space, can anticipate holes opening up. This horse did that. Now, some good, inconsistent or not talented horses, like they might take a few extra strides to see that space. Like Hit the Road, if you can get a chance to watch the head on or even the pan view, like he's inching forward, like he sees that hole opening, and obviously Florent Giroux, gets by. This horse Hit the Road, if there's no open space, this horse finishes 6th. Like I'm dead serious. Like if that space doesn't open up, He finishes 6th. So this is one of those things where I don't want him back. I would love to play against him. If any of these horses gets a dream trip like that, I think they could all win outside of the top 3. Like Social Paranoia gets that type of trip. Like, I don't think he's any better. So this is definitely a horse that I'd like to play against. Great job by Florent Giroux, but just keep an eye on literally a dream trip. This is the way you would draw it up if someone went to jockey school. Like, this is it. Talented, but I do agree Smooth Like Straight is better. And to Aaron's point, the East Coast horses may just be behind, right? Because horses that maybe have to go to Gulfstream or whatever the case may be, the California runners can always stay in training. Maybe they'll get some time off in like November, December, but they could always, the weather isn't a big issue. And I think the East Coast runners are still better, personally. You guys will all realize that once we get to Belmont and Saratoga, when the racing is a little bit better than it is right now on the West Coast. Race 10, this is it. This Santa Anita Handicap. We're going to stop here. We're going to end here. You liked Idol. Liked Idol. I didn't. So I obviously like Idol a little bit more now, but I'm going to leave it to you. I used two horses. None of them were Idol. So I'm going to let you take it away. What did you think of Idol? And real quick, based on the way Maxfield ran, does this kind of solidify what looks to be a week older class on paper?
Well, yeah, just another race where there is a lot to unpack. Let me start with Idol. Kind of a caveat. I have chased Idol for the last 2 races before this one at Santa Anita and got paid nothing because he ran like shit. But I just thought, I've been critical of the connections for keeping Saez aboard as they shipped to Santa Anita. It just didn't make any sense. It's just like, you've got a really good horse who's been running well. Get a damn jockey from Santa Anita. It plays differently. And so they got Rosario, and I thought, okay, I have to play this horse back. And then the stretch out to 1.25 miles, I just thought it hit him right between the eyes. So I had to play him back. But anyway, he's a winning proposition now, but he wasn't big time coming into this for me. So as far as the Maxfield question, he just. You hear this a lot. Who has he beat, right? The question was he just hadn't beaten much. So this was a real proving ground because while Idol and Express Train are decent California horses, and I think they both put up nice efforts, they're not great either, right, Ricky? Like, if Maxfield was really good, he could have dusted this field. I think we found out today he's good. He's not great. It's going to take a right circumstance for him to win a big race. There's got to be better horses than him out there.
Yeah, I think Aaron said it right. I'll be the first to admit. I'll admit when I'm wrong. A lot of people say you're wrong. Yeah, I'm admitting I'm wrong here because I thought Maxfield was the go-away winner. But looking back at it, who's the best horse that he's beaten? I guess Sonneman or NY Traffic. And again, it's one thing if he was beating those horses by multiple lengths. He beat Sonneman by 3 1/4. He beat Sonneman again in a race at 2 races at the fairgrounds by 2. Then, it's easy to say it now, but looking back at it, the concerns were right. I mean, he didn't face anyone. Sonneman was probably like the 40th ranked 3-year-old. Right. And NY Traffic was probably like 43 on a list. If you were like, those horses just weren't maybe not 40 and 43, but like literally like not in the top 20. They weren't very good. And he wasn't doing it by 8 lengths. He was doing it by 2 and 3. I do want to touch on this point. Yes, the class is weak. I don't have anything else to add. I think it's a weak older group. Sorry. Can a 3-year-old step up and beat them?
Yep.
I think the answer is yes. And the reason I think Life is Good can do it is because I saw 0 speed. Like, King Guillermo showed speed. King Guillermo couldn't beat me at this point. I don't know what the heck happened to that horse. He's obviously hurt, a layoff, whatever. The connections did him wrong. I think Life is Good can easily. Now, I preface this by saying he can't go 10 furlongs at this point. Like, I wouldn't trust Life is Good to do it at 1 1/4 miles. Now, having said that, a 2-turn mile, maybe a mile and a 16, like 8.5 furlongs, sure. I wouldn't trust him at this point at 10 furlong. So if you were to put him in this race, I say he'd finish about third. I'd say get the lead and probably falter, just because 10 furlongs for a 3-year-old is very, very tough. And this, obviously the Belmont is different, but that's in June. We're talking March. For you, I'll before we wrap up and get to Gulfstream, I'll throw it to you. Can a 3-year-old step up and beat them? And if the answer is yes, who would it be?
Yeah, so, okay, I'm going to bust one of the biggest myths in racing. And if you've never listened to me on anything else, please listen to this right now. When you get into October and November, Breeders' Cup time, when the 3-year-olds start facing the older, it is a myth that the older horses have an advantage over these 3-year-olds. When they get to that time, they've built up, they're ready for that kind of competition. That's why they wait that long. I hear it every single year. Oh, the 3-year-olds can't beat the olders in the Classic. Look at the results of the Classic. The 3-year-olds win it all the time. I'm not saying they win it every year. They win it just as much as the older ones. Look at Authentic last year. I heard the same shit. He can't match up with Tom Satot. Yes, he can. They're almost on equal footing, if not equal footing at that point. Oh, Gamine, she can't beat Serengeti Empress. She smoked her because they're at that level. Can a 3-year-old win the Breeders' Cup Classic? Unequivocally, yes. If there was a prop bet right now, 3-year-old versus older horse for the Breeders' Cup Classic, 1,000% I would bet the 3-year-olds. 1,000%. It's just going to be a matter as if the top horses in this crop as 3-year-olds are still running at Breeders' Cup time. But I definitely think they're going to be better by November. Two
points to tack on. I agree. At that point, like when you're a college kid and it's May, right, and you're leaving your freshman year, you're not a freshman anymore. You're a sophomore at that point. You've been here a whole year. You are a sophomore. They talk about that with college athletes all the time. That's one. And two, by the time we hit November, some of these older horses, for them to stay in training from January to November is tough. Like if we, I like to look at it horse years, like it goes by 5 years. Like if you're a 3-year-old, you're like 21 through 24. Like you're in the prime of your life. If you're 6, you might be in your 30s in people years.
Yep.
Like, so it's very, very different. So to Aaron's point, like don't mind taking a 3-year-old because that horse is probably already 4. And if you have a 6-year-old, that horse is almost 7 already, since everyone has the same birthday, January 1st. That's the way it works in horse racing. So yeah, to Aaron's point, like that horse isn't 3. That horse is basically making their first start as a 4-year-old in my book, or almost. And the next start after the Breeders' Cup would be their first as a 4-year-old.
Well, you got to think, these 3-year-olds, if they're in the Classic, that means they've been in all the big races. Think of how battle-tested they've been. They've been in the Derby. They've been on the Triple Crown Trail, the Travers, the Hat. I mean, by the time it's not like they went from the San Felipe to the Breeders' Cup Classic. So they've built up, whether it be their stamina or just their talent level, and they've been, just the battle-tested part of it. They've probably been more battle-tested than the older horses because a lot of the older ones will pick and choose 3 or 4 races over the course of the year and then go to the Classic.
Yeah, that's a fair point. There, as anyone will say in sports, there's nothing like game action or track action. Like you can't replicate that. And to Aaron's point, a horse like Life is Good might have 7 or 8 starts this year when the whole thing is done. And a horse like, I don't know, we'll use Authentic, whatever, an older horse, Maxfield might only have 3. Like, we don't know. So that's a fair point. All right, enough of that because we had a lot of stuff to recap. But we have Gulfstream to get to a lot of scratches. So, we'll start here. I was really hoping Aaron would put together a pick 4 ticket. But he's going to go back to his old ways. That was the Close Shave Rocket launch brought to you by Manscaped. Use the code ROCKET20 at manscaped.com. Check it out. All great products. You can see I'm properly groomed. Let's just say I'm properly groomed everywhere. So take a look at that. Tons of great stuff, things like that. Make sure you use the code ROCKET20. All right, Aaron, tell me real quick before we get into it, before I'll let you talk race 7, why didn't you go back to your pick 4 ticket? I really enjoyed that on Friday.
No. I did a dumb thing, okay, because I did the pick 4. I went away from my strength, and guess what? My trifecta in the 9th and the 10th race both won. So I learned a lesson there. And listen, this show is kind of a curse sometimes for us. We get in slumps we'll nail race 1 through 6, and then we get to this one, and it's like, oh man. But anyway, no, I'm back to my regular.
Yeah, it's funny. Last week, on the Rockets, we had literally a great week, like a fantastic, one of the best weeks we ever had. And I couldn't cash anything here. It's like we went to Oaklawn. I was cashing Gulfstream. We go to Gulfstream. I'm cashing Oaklawn. Yep. I just couldn't catch a break. So we're hoping to step it up here. For the record, it's not as big of a week on the Triple Crown Trail, or there's a lot going on. Oaklawn's got some big preps, and that's where we're going to focus on when we get to stakes action, but it's not like last weekend. So this is a weekend where you can kind of get your act together, kind of for us, like racing fans, it's like Sunday. That's like what it is for us. Like we can just kind of relax because Saturday's a big day. We'll start with the 7th race, starter optional claiming $35,000 for 3-year-old Phillies going 1 mile and a 16th on the turf. You could see there are a lot of scratches. The 1, Lulula, I think that's proper. The 6, Saramia, and the 7, Mary of Scotland. I'll throw it to Aaron, but real quick, you might be able to guess that it might be Juan Carlos Avila's barn. Might be one of them. Now, I don't know. I'm not saying that in stone. I don't have any clue. But 2 horses out of his barn come out here. It's possible. Again, just taking a guess. So if you guys have any information on maybe whose barns we're referring to, please let us know. We'd love to share that. Yeah. All right, Aaron, real quick, we're scratched down to a field of 5. Which way did we go here? Obviously, a much shorter field than we anticipated.
Yeah, it really is. And these races kind of got ruined. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I guess maybe the last race didn't so much. But, I just tried to stick with win bets, and exactas on this one. I just kind of played a little bit conservative, I guess you would say. But I do really like the number 4 Coworth Park in this spot. So I did a $10 win wager on the 4 here. 2 races back, broke the maiden going this distance, did it pretty easily. It was at the $25,000 maiden claiming level, so that's not great, but it was still an easy win. Last time out, got taken off the turf, so draw a line through it. I think she's going to run pretty well here, and with some of the scratches, especially the scratch of the 1. I really thought the 4 was the one you needed to play here. The other one, my second choice, is Big Bad Diva. I do definitely think this is a horse that you need to use on your multis, and if you're going to play an exacta or try here, I thought this was a very logical runner. The only thing that kind of was a pause for concern, I guess, for me, her best speed figure was actually last time out over the dirt. It was a pretty good race, and it almost broke the maiden at Tampa 2 races back on the turf. Tampa to Gulfstream, that's a big jump. So even though that was a maiden special weight, it was kind of like, how good was that race really? So, but anyway, I thought the 4 was where the win wager needed to go here.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I used 4 horses before the scratches came out, and after this, I told Aaron, I said I had to buy this race because in a field like this, a horse that you don't think is going to show speed, all of a sudden shows speed. Like in my type of sequence, I don't think there's that much of a gap. I'll start with a couple horses that Aaron didn't talk about. The 2, Shang's Sister, that horse faced winners last time at the 25,000 level. Not a big jump up, and wasn't that bad. I think why she's going to be perfectly placed. Probably won't be on the lead, but could be second. There's nothing really wrong with her based on that race. The 3, Bears Breeches. This one is completely interesting to me. Jack Sisterson starts this horse at Turfway Park and wins a really, really, really bad maiden claiming race. Like, bad. You know what this tells me? He didn't know what he had with her. And that happens sometimes. If you're a trainer or you're an owner, you kind of don't know what you have. And that's possible. So the better trainers tend to know what they have. They've had hundreds of horses. They get it. If this horse wins by 11.5 at that race, I don't think if we told Jack Sisterson that, I think Jack Sisterson would say, oh, maybe we could try her in like a maiden special weight. Like, we're not going to try her here. Like, that wasn't the object. I think he honestly didn't know. Based on that, how can I not include a horse like this? Like, winning by 11.5, showed some speed and did it easily. I don't know. I kind of want to use her, and I think she could be a decent price. I think if you look at these morning line odds, they're all going to go down. I think there's a field of 5. You talked about the 4 Colworth Park. I can't disagree. I don't know what happened the last time out. The fact it was on the dirt is concerning, but I don't like the word tired at the end. That scares me a little bit. But it's Irad, it's Pletcher, it makes sense. The 5, map them up. I hate Tim Hills, but this horse does have speed. I hate Tim Hills. Not as a person. I don't like his horses. Sorry. Never met Tim Hills. I'm sure he's a fantastic guy. Paco Lopez is going to get her to the lead, though. Like, can handle the distance. And I don't know, can she go? This is going to be interesting. I have a feeling this race is going to be slower than molasses. Like, really, really slow. Can we see a legitimate 25-1? I believe we can. Like, I truly believe that. 25 flat to 25-1. Maybe it's not likely, but it's possible. And I want any horse that's going to be on the lead at this point. And you talked about the 8, Big Bad Diva. She makes sense. But again, her best race came on the dirt. This is more for me. I just trust Saffy Joe. If Saffy Joe is going to put her back on the dirt, back on the turf, that's who I want. Mm-hmm. I don't like hitting the all button, but I think I made a legitimate case for all of them. Is there anyone that you really don't like? If you were playing it the way I play it, is there anyone that you're like, I really don't like that horse?
I use 3, 4, and 8 here, but I couldn't really talk you off anybody because of what you said. It's just a trash race after the scratches, and you can make a case for anybody. I really liked what you said about the 3. I thought this was a real sneaky horse, and I mean, like I said, I don't think you're going to get 10-1, but I do think this horse will be a little bit higher price and can win. So I really like that aspect, but no, I'm not going to really talk you off any because, like with the 5, the having Lopez aboard means something here, especially in a race where we don't see a lot of speed. So, and by the way, it's on the turf at Gulfstream. So speed is I'm never going to talk you off that. I'm sorry that you and Tim Hills don't get along.
Well, that's more so because he's winning at 4%. If he was winning at 20, if he was winning at even 15% or 10%, Tim Hills and I would have no. I've never met Tim Hills. I'm sure he's a great guy. I've even told Aaron before at Oaklawn, like he's a big Von Hemel fan, and I've come on this live stream and said I can't bet that trainer. Like I would tell anyone, like that's just me. I will literally walk up to a trainer and say I can't bet you right now. Please prove me wrong. Like I've done that. I remember when I was 16 years old. I don't remember the horse, but I literally walked up to Chad Brown and said, what is going on? And he looked at me like, are you okay? Like, is there something wrong with you? Like, yeah, like, and I almost said, yeah, there's a lot wrong with me. I don't care. Like, I don't care who you are. Like, this is my money. If I'm just giving out something for free and I'm not betting it myself, then it's not a big deal. Yeah, but Tim Hills, I'm sure he's a great guy. I've never met him before. I'm sure he's a fantastic person. Let's move on to race 8. If you want to talk about scratches, we've lost half the field. I'll introduce the race, but there's not a lot left. It's starter optional claiming $25,000 for 3-year-olds, going 6 furlongs on the dirt. You could see the 1 no commission is out, the 4 awesome beach is out, and the 5 hard game is out. Aaron, I'll throw it to you because I took everyone. I mean, how could you not take everyone in this field? Like I personally, I'll tell you this right now, if you're ever in a 3-horse race and you play multi-race sequences and you don't hit the all button, please stop betting the horses. Please, I'm begging you, because now granted, there are situations like you have like Prevalence. If Prevalence was in a 3-horse race, that's different. But we're not talking about a horse like that. We're talking about these groups like Joshy Jack, real quick, facing winners for the first time, and one so against Florida bred, made a special weight by neck. That wasn't that impressive to me. Now you're going to face open competition. The 3, Floral Gal, was facing much tougher, but did win at a claiming level last time out. I don't know. Like maybe he's getting better, not having run since October. The 6, Florida Endeavor, now gelded. I don't know if that means anything to anyone, but 35,000 claimers, probably about the same as this one. I don't know. I took everyone, and he was bumped at the start for a horse that showed some speed what did you think of this race? I had to take everyone because I don't know what to do. I didn't know what to do here, to be honest.
Well, first and foremost, I agree with everything you said, and I agree with I would take them all as well. Because here's the deal: if you're going to take two, you might as well take three, right? So the way I look at these 3-horse races is this: if you think one is a lock, just single it, But if you look at it and you go, these horses are trash, just take all 3 of them and move on, because a lot of people don't like that. A lot of people go, 3-horse race, use all 3. You're supposed to be a handicapper. Well, sometimes these are the hardest ones to figure out because they're all 3 not very good. With a 3-horse race, things like pace and the normal race dynamics are completely weird. So it's hard. Your normal handicapping kind of goes out the window. And like you said, if prevalence was in this race, obviously it's a single, you move on. He's in the race by himself. You just don't know how this is going to set up. I went $10 to win on Joshy Jack. I would have went 5, but I just thought, well, that's stupid. Just $5. I have no opinion of this race. I will be ready for this race to end as soon as it begins.
Yeah, exactly. There's nothing else to say. Let's move on to the 9th race. Allowance optional, claiming $75,000 for 3-year-old Phillies, going 1 1/8 miles on the turf. So 9 furlongs, 2 turns on the turf. This is finally a race we can get to that doesn't have any scratches or changes. So Aaron, I'll throw it to you. It's only a field of 7, but it's a solid group and one we could really sink our teeth into.
Yeah, I finally thought here, okay, we've got a pretty good race. Like, this is probably, there's no probably. It is the best race we're going to talk about. I went to the outside with my top pick, number 7, Always Late. I just thought this horse, is moving in the right direction. Had a layoff, but last time out, gets back over this Gulfstream Park turf course, wins pretty impressively in a maiden special weight going 1.16 miles. You look at the breeding. Now we're stretching out to 1.1 miles. That should improve the horse here. I think the horse is meant to go a little bit longer. Ortiz stays aboard. Really, the races for this filly as a 3-year-old, as a 2-year-old, weren't awful. She was close. She was within 3 lengths, 4 lengths, 2 lengths of winning. Just kind of broke through last time. Ran really well. So I put the 7 on top. And, no real surprises here for me. The 1 Traffic Lane is who I have second. It just seems like the pace is going to set up perfect here. Maybe not Lone Speed, but close to Lone Speed on the turf. Gulfstream. We're going to say that over and over. So I went with a $5 exacta box with the 1 and the 7. I really thought they were standouts over the rest of this group.
Real quick, I agree with you on the 1 and 7. That's all I used. Mark says, by all, aren't you destroying any possible value? I do want to touch on that for a minute. I don't believe so, and this is why. Now, are you going to get your $500 pick 4 score on a massive day? No, you're not. And I'll say this. On a day like that, it's different. We talk about that all the time. I only want to remove the comments so you guys can see my face. It's kind of like half covering. No, but on a Wednesday, you're not going to get that anyway. And to Aaron's point, I think a lot of people are going to try to single in races that have 3 and 5 horses in it. Again, it's a little bit bigger of a ticket than some people want to play. And that's fine. I'm not recommending everyone plays this ticket. Again, when we do this, these are tickets that we anticipate we are going to play, or tickets that we would play ourselves. I've come on here and played $45 pick 4 ticket, $45 50-cent pick 4 tickets before. No, I don't think you're going to lose a ton of value. Again, you're not going to get your $500 score, but you wouldn't on a Wednesday anyway, most likely, unless you hit 40 to 1 shot. Okay, well, in that case, then fine. But I think in these last 2 races, you can get prices home. That's where I think you're going to separate yourself. Sometimes in these sequences, it's about surviving. And the first 2 races, I think, are about surviving. Now this is where you can break it up. Now, having said that, I'm going to go short here. These are, I don't think you can get past the 1 and 7. Aaron talked about the 7 being his top choice. I made the 1 my top choice. This is the reason why. Forget about the aqueduct thing, because we know how I feel about that. But it's a little different when you're going from dirt to turf. So that's a little different. But this horse, in the 1 turf race she ran, was pretty good. Now, I get why Rapoli and the connections, and Pletcher wanted this horse to be part of that, 2-year-old filly group, right? 3-year-old filly group, with the potential that maybe she's Aaron, of Kentucky Oaks horse? I don't know, because based on if you run in the Damoiselle, that's what you're kind of telling people, that we are aiming towards the Kentucky Oaks. Maybe when running in the Busanda after that is an indication we're not going in that route. But if you ask Magic, and I don't want to speak for Aaron, Magic loves Malathaat, and he would put Malathaat arguably as his best filly, or in the top 3. I'm sure Aaron's nodding his head. She's definitely in his top 5, maybe whatever, something like that. So, and that was over a sloppy track. So there, you can, to me, eliminate those 2 dirt races. So that's who I put on top. One horse that I was interested in, though, it was the 3, Runaway Rocket. Cone Lima and Mia Martina. I forgot what Mia Martina ran, and you liked Mia Martina in something. I forgot what the race was, and maybe Aaron can tell me what it was. I believe it was a stakes race that she ran in.
It was at Tampa. It was at Tampa last week.
Yeah, right. And Cone Lima is also really, really good filly. Not all of the allowance optional claiming races, 75,000. Let's just take this one. They're not all the same, because Cone Lima and Mia Martina are better than this class. That's just where they popped up in. And I'll be honest, I've talked to owners and trainers when I was younger. Sometimes that just stinks. When you have a horse like Runaway Rocket that belongs at this level, you run into fillies or horses that are just better. And I think that's what Runaway Rocket did. Like, that's when we're going to talk about a race tomorrow with Prevalence. Prevalence shouldn't be in that race. And for everyone else who's running in that race, it's going to be a throwaway race, because they just ran up against a monster. Most likely. Let's not jinx anything. Aaron, real quick, who is a horse that maybe you like to take a shot here? If you were maybe playing a multi-race sequence that you might want a long shot, or someone maybe you're interested in, anything like that.
Yeah, you stole mine. I do like a Runaway Rocket here. That was my 3rd choice, one I almost put in. Real quick on Mia Martina. Yeah, Florida Oaks at Tampa is where I like this horse, and got 4th, but only beaten 3 3/4. Got way behind, came with a run, and I can't fault that horse. I thought she put up a pretty good effort, and of course Cone Lima, a DQ winner last time out here at Gulfstream in a stakes. So obviously, you're correct with that. The horse I put in 4th, and basically I put her in 4th because you got to just put somebody in 4th. I thought Vibram or Vibern, or however you would say that name. I don't know, just consistent consistent in the starter allowance level. Once you get past those top 3, I think anybody can finish 4th. But I did like the consistency of that horse, and maybe jump up, get a piece. If everything goes right, maybe gets 3rd. But I really thought the 1, 3, 7 were the standouts.
Yeah, that's fair. How about real quick, another horse to keep an eye on? I think the 2, Marlborough Road, is a little scary. Going longer should be better for this horse, obviously. Never tried 9 furlongs before, but look at the breeding, bred in Ireland, and then Irish sire. I'm not familiar with the sire, but I am familiar with a horse named Jouster. And you know who finished 2nd in the Florida Oaks? Jouster did. So maybe that's a horse to keep an eye on. I think if you wanted to find some prices, you could, but we both went short. Real quick, Dennis just wanted to talk about the 6. Did you want to talk about the 6 Lady Traveler? For me, I wasn't all that impressed by Lady Traveler. I picked someone else with a little bit more pedigree on the turf. And anything that you wanted to touch on with the 6?
I don't hate Lady Traveler as a horse, first and foremost. I think this horse is decent. I thought the turf was really interesting, because I'm right there with you. I didn't think that the pedigree for the turf really made a lot of sense. But this is not a bad horse. I mean, we know this horse has talent. We've seen her go up against some pretty nice ones. No, I couldn't get there for this race.
Yeah, I think this is a really, really tough spot to try the turf for the first time. Aaron likes that angle, by the way. He's talked about it before, first time turf, but this is a really tough angle. And Mark kind of said it in my book. Wardens is searching for success. Like, they don't know what to do with this horse in my book. They're just trying something. It wasn't horrible last time out, but trying the turf nonetheless. All right, here we go. The final race. We're moving through it quick today. Maiden claiming 16,000 for 3-year-olds, going a mile and a 16th on the turf. I'll start here. I used the 6. He knows Saint. He ain't no Saint, excuse me, who's out. By the way, the 6, the 9 unimpeached, and the 13 now a Jaguar are out. Speaking of Dale Romans, his runner, his colt is out as well. I'm going to start now with the 1, Higher Law. I was kind of impressed with this horse last time out. It kind of hit the gate, didn't really know what he was doing, but once he kind of, got going, he kind of seemed like he had things figured out. I just want to talk on this point, and then I'll throw it to you real quick, and then I'll talk about some other horses after. A lot of people say he was 5th by 4 1/4 and 7 by 5th by 7 1/2. He didn't really close. What happened? If you watch the race, this horse made a big move very early, to try to get into it. For a horse that's a first-time starter to have a sustained move, and what we call by move is getting, pushed up, getting rushed up, starting to get pushed. That's what we call a move. It's hard for a horse to do that. Some horses really like to be ridden hard, literally, and some don't want to be touched. Some will gradually move up on their own. It's all about the horse. And I think Luis Saez, the horse was 8 by 8 early on and made a move, got to 5th by 4 1/2, and then the horse faded at the end. I think with the more experience, not hitting the gate, obviously, and just kind of getting going a little bit more, I'm interested in this horse, and that's why I put on top after the 6 was out. Aaron, I'll throw it to you. I see you have a win bet here, so that's your top choice. Kind of walk me through the 11, Mr. Einstein, a little bit.
I hated this race. I hated all the other horses in this race. I don't think Mr. Einstein's very good. I'll preface with that to start it off, but I don't think anybody is. I kind of like the angle you tried to go with there because you're just looking for anything that maybe this horse now will take a step forward. For Mr. Einstein, that's exactly what I tried to do as well. I just said, okay, can I think of a way? How's this horse going to move forward? Okay. Dropping down in class, that's obviously needed. So that's good, but still that's a factor. Second time running as a gelding. That's not that big a factor to me. Maker was able to get Irad again. And I thought that was a big factor. Irad rode this horse last time, got 8th, beaten 7. And it's like, damn, he won't be on this one again, but he stayed aboard. He's in an even shittier race and he stays on him. And boy, it seems like Irad wins the last race at Gulfstream almost every day. It seems like he almost wins every race. It's like the stewards are for him or something. Surely that's not right. But anyway, I just went $10 to win on Mr. Einstein. The last factor, you look at this projected pace. He, 2 races back, he showed a little bit of early speed. Now he faded, obviously. I kind of think from this outside post, they're going to ride him pretty hard, and he's either going to get the lead or get over to the rail and sit second, maybe behind a horse like the 4. If that happens, he might just get the trip, and, he might just kind of be hard to pass for these other horses that aren't very good down the lane. So, yeah, I went $10 to win on the 11, try to get some value here in the last race.
Yeah, there's some quotes that are coming at me about Syracuse, which is not appreciated. Dennis says, I might have a reservation at the bar. No, my dad and I are going to watch together. My uncle's coming over as well. And then Dr. Miranda chimes in, I'm on edge. First of all, I always talk quick. So I don't know what that's about. Because Syracuse is about to, Look, folks, we could have a college basketball conversation, and I'm not tooting myself I probably know a lot more than you guys do. That just because I was part of the program in terms of I know what to expect. So, if someone's got 150 on them, good luck. This is probably real short spread. Syracuse has already won twice. I'm interested about what you said real quick on the 4. That horse is scary because if this horse gets to the lead, one thing I've always said about horse racing, don't worry about the jockey if the task is simple. Yeah. What does that mean? Victor LeBron knows he's got to get to the lead. I don't care who you are. Like, I don't. Like, just get to the lead. And that's what Armando De La Cerda is going to tell him. Like, it's going to be one of those things, like, we've talked about it before. If Irad Ortiz messes up, it's Irad. He's going to get more. Like, if Victor LeBron messes this one up, it's not going to be a good look for him. So whatever Armando tells you to do, even if you finish last, just do it. And I think this horse obviously has a ton of pedigree. Going longer might help. I'm with Aaron here. This 4's scary. I didn't use him, and I'm a little scared. You used the 11 as well. The other horse we didn't talk about was the 8, Double David. This was more so because I think he's going to show a little bit more speed also. I don't think the 4 is very good. I think the 8 will be forwardly placed, and I think the 8 is much better, but won't be in on the lead. So we're going to see how that works out. Real quick, how excited were you that the 6, he ain't no same as out? And I'll tell you why. This horse was 0 for 8, so I've learned my lesson not to use these horses. And Jose Pinchin is 0 for 22. So what do you make of this horse? Like, for me, I looked at it, I was like, thank goodness this horse is out, because he would have given me nightmares and he would have been a short price. Real quick, did you plan on using the 6, or were you just going to throw him out completely?
No, I totally thought the 6 is one I'll never play. And then they beat me. That's the way I look at it. This horse has had so many chances. It's the typical favorite in a race like this. These horses are always favored because you look at it and go, God, these horses are terrible. And look at this horse. It's finished second and third 100 times. Like, surely today's the day. It's never the day. They find a way to lose. So actually, I'm sad that it's out, because I think it would have took money and we could have beat him. But oh well. Just real quick on the 4. This is how I looked at it. The 11 is better than the 4. The 11's not better than hardly any horses probably on that whole backside. He's better than the 4. So while I think they're going to get similar trips, I just think the 11 is the more likely one to kind of sit and stay. So anyway, that's why I used it. One horse, you mentioned the 8, and I had the 8 as well. Have you mentioned the 1 at all? I don't.
Oh yeah. That's my top horse.
You did the first. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, that was my top horse. Basically, if you watch that race, he hit the gate and made that move, right, and kind of faded. Yep. When a horse makes a move, first time, it's tough. You don't have to worry about the fade. You saw the move, and I think that move will be better here. I'm probably going to have everyone saying real quick. That's kind of what I say, real quick. Like, just try to get that out. All right, real quick, Aaron. Aaron, kind of go. That was kind of play on words. Aaron, give us your tickets for today and kind of what to look for. Maybe your best race or the horse you're most interested in. Anything we should take note of.
Well, I'm not highly interested in this card, to be completely honest. I'm not interested in a lot of these horses. But I do think this 4-race sequence, the bets I've made, for how I play, it does make sense. I started race 7, $10 to win on the 4. I just think getting back to the turf will be what that horse needs. He's not, that's not a horrible horse anyway. Race 8, $10 to win on the 2. 3-horse race. What are you going to do? I don't have a strong opinion there. Race 9, I do, and I think I wrote that wrong. I think it's the 1-7. Oh, okay.
Oh, that's okay.
Ignore the scroll. Race 9, it's the $5 exacta box 1 and 7. I will fix that here in just a second. But I do think those 2 are kind of standouts. And then in race 10, $10 to win on the 11. I hope we get that 6-1. I think that horse can sit the trip and kind of give us a nice little winner there in the last.
Yeah. For me, it's just, I'll be honest, the first race, I'm just hoping I get the best price. Because I hit the all button. Race 8, the second race, I'm not going to get much of a price. The longest shot might be, no joke, 4-1. Like, they're all going to be close. Everyone's going to try to take money. But I think, the first race is interesting. Pletcher Irad is going to get hit, and I don't think hit. That duo is going to be bet on, I should say. I don't think that Philly's much better than the rest. Like, to be brutally honest, and I'm interested with the 3 the Jack Sisterson horse does. So my sequence goes as follows: 2, 3, 4, 5, 8. I took everyone. 2, 3, 6. Again, took everyone. And then I went with the 1 and a 7. I think those two, Aaron talked about it, those two horses look a little bit better than the rest. Forget about the one dirt races, Traffic Lane, the one turf race she ran was good and Always Late seems to be getting better now as a 3-year-old by Animal Kingdom. In the end, 1, 8, 11. I'm really looking forward to seeing what the 1 does in his second start. And I used the 11, Mr. Einstein. Let's see if Aaron and I, that would be nice for us to get home because I think we can get a decent price. That's a $45 ticket. I don't have time to ramble on because got company coming over and Syracuse is playing. The Twitter feed is all over Syracuse. I know Aaron's got his Oklahoma little jacket on. Very nice, by the way. Very chic.
Thank you.
I'm only wearing my Ravens thing because I'm hoping Lamar gets a deal done soon based on what we saw with Dak. I don't want this to drag on. I'm not a drag it on type of guy. Aaron, any final notes on Syracuse today? College basketball, obviously Gonzaga came through last night. Struggled, but they did kind of show why they are the number 1 team in the country. We obviously have conference tournaments, selection on Sunday, literally this week. It's just going to be a great month. We missed it last year, March Madness, like right at this time COVID started. It should be a great week, great month. Any final thoughts, college basketball wise, horse racing wise, anything you want to share with us before we head out?
Yeah, I'll give you 3 things, and I'll let you take it away and tell us who's going to win the Syracuse game. I am looking forward to Syracuse. I had no idea that's why we did it early, but that's funny. Tonight, that'll be fun. 2 games last night. That Gonzaga BYU game was fantastic. Also, and it was on at the same time, so it really, my old remote skills, I really had to work hard at it. But I enjoyed Oral Roberts and North Dakota State. That was a really good basketball game. I don't think either team is great, but it was a really well-played game. So I enjoyed that one a lot. And last thing, if you want to get so just real quick, I was able to get the COVID shot, my first COVID shot yesterday. And you might say, how did you do that? I don't have any pre-existing issues. I'm not an important medical worker or anything like that. If you want to get the shot, get on a list on like the waiting list. Because here's what's happening at some of these places. When people don't show up, they're having to throw away the vaccines, okay? So get on a list. They will call you, and you can go get it, even if you're not, I don't know what we were in, like zone 1 or 2 or whatever. I don't know the details. But get on a list if you want that shot. I bet you can get it, sooner than you think. So just a quick heads up for everybody listening that wants it. You do have opportunities to get it. Get on that list.
Yeah, no, that's a fair point. It's always obviously up to Aaron to bring some real stuff to the show because I'm not going to provide it. If it's not sports or horse racing, you're at the wrong place. Real quick, what defense will they be playing? I think they're going to go to a full court man-to-man today. They've been really working on it the last few days. I think Boeheim really wants to switch it up. So we'll see. Third time might be the charm for NC State. They are 0-2. Against Syracuse this year. I am a little worried about that because I think beating a team 3 times is tough. When it's not like it's Gonzaga playing Syracuse, they'll beat them 3 times in a row, right? The team's just better. But when they're evenly matched, I'm always concerned. So that's going to be it for us. We will obviously recap the Syracuse game tomorrow. I do want to let you guys know, if Syracuse wins, they're also playing at noon tomorrow. So if they win, we will be on at 10:30. If they lose, we'll be on at 11. I'm letting you guys know that now. It's one of those situations where just rooting for the best. Obviously, Aaron's team is in. Great. Lucky him. His team's in. He doesn't have to worry about it. Unlike me, I got to sit there and be nervous for 2 hours.
How many games does Syracuse need to win in this tournament to be?
That's a fair question. Obviously, this one is a must-win. I do think they have to beat Virginia to feel safe. If you beat Virginia, you're in. Otherwise, we're going to have that situation where you're just kind of waiting and you're going to have to root for other teams to lose. And I don't – then it says, okay, we'll see you at 11. I hope that's not the case. Real quick, I think 2 to be safe. 1, a lot of people are saying they'd be in at 1. Obviously, if you lose, it's over. I think 2 to be safe. And that's me being optimistic. I kind of know the way Syracuse works, and I'll be honest, Aaron and I talked about this. I talked about this with my dad. They do want the bigger teams in there. It's a draw, especially with no fans. It is a draw, and I think that's going in Syracuse's direction. They are a team that, for whatever reason, people care about Boeheim, the history, whatever it is. So yeah, I will be getting to that now. I'm sure Aaron will shoot me a text when it's 2-0 NC State, telling me that he's worried. No, he's not yet. That would be Jared. Jared would do that. Jared would do that. Jared's going to say, "What's going on with Syracuse?" They'll have lost the opening tip, and he'll say, "What's going on with Syracuse?" Yeah, Chiefs lost the Super Bowl, by the way. Without further ado, hopefully we'll see you guys at 10:30 tomorrow. If we're on at 11, I won't be the happiest camper of all time. Everyone, good luck today playing at Gulfstream. If you are betting some of the college basketball games, please let us know. No, I'm not betting, just watching with a fan. Without further ado, we'll see you guys tomorrow. Stay safe, stay healthy, good luck playing whatever you are, and stay healthy on Wednesday, March 10th. Aaron's more focused on UTEP softball. No, it's Oklahoma softball that he's worried about. We'll see you guys tomorrow, hopefully at 10:30 with a Syracuse win, and I'll have a bright smile on my face. Take care, everyone.